Michelle. How are you doing?
Hi, Francis. I'm good. How are you?
Doing really well. Super excited to have this interview with you. Um, Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Uh, make sure I'm saying your name right. Michelle Hanabusa, right?
Yes, that is perfect.
Thank you. And I know a little bit about you, but I would love for you to also tell more detail to the viewers. But I know that you are a former figure skater. I also know that you are an really strong activist for the Asian American community. And I also know that you are an entrepreneur as well too. So can you tell us a bit about, and anything else you want to throw in there in the details and gaps, but tell us a bit more about yourself from some of those aspects.
Sure. Well, I'm Japanese American. We actually hit, I think, over 100 years now of our family being here in the States. Something that my dad is like super passionate about, and he has yet to celebrate it. But and so, born and raised in Los Angeles, fourth generation, and but my mom's side is first generation, and so it was this like beautiful blend of cultures in a way of growing up, you know, Americanized, but then also really like finding my roots within Japanese culture through my mother. So I think it's pretty rare to find fourth generation who can actually speak and understand Japanese. But for the longest time, I really hid that part of my identity. I was trying to really just fit in with my Americanized friends and try to blend in as much as possible. And that's something that maybe we can go over later. But it really speaks to what and the reasons why I started Uprisers. And growing up, I was a competitive figure skater for over 14 years. And so that really took up most of my childhood, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, training for 6 days out of the week out of um, here based in Los Angeles. And that was my life. It was just, I want to go to the Olympics. I want to be the next Michelle Kwan. And I really idolized her, and I wanted to. She's probably the only familiar face that I saw on TV. We just happened to have the same first name. So I was like, perfect, I'm going to go into figure skating. But halfway through high school, I was around 15, 16, I had to get hip surgery just from overuse and, all the impact that skating really takes a toll on your body. So having that surgery kind of ruined the competitive career side within figure skating. The doctors did not recommend that I compete anymore. And I could just do like more of like the show business side of figure skating. But that opened opportunities and doors for me to just continue more of like a normal life and really like dive into school, get a college education, and do all that kind of stuff. So I guess that was the start of my entrepreneur life.
Okay, fantastic. So were you an entrepreneur as early as high school then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, I actually had to find different hobbies because if I wasn't spending 15 plus hours a week on the ice because I couldn't do that anymore, I had to find other things that I was interested in. So I started to dive into graphic design. I was really inspired by my aunt who was designing for like Disney at the time. And I was like, I'm going to be just like her. I didn't, and so I really started to go into that realm. I used to design a lot of my figure skating costumes. And so there was always a clothing element that I was really interested in. So I would also go to vintage stores, kind of remake it, and then like force my friends and my neighbors to buy it. So it was a mixture of like design meets fashion, and then just trying to figure out like how to market it. And then fast forward to college, I also started like a very small um, entrepreneur type business selling to other sororities my designs.
Wow, so fashion design was always kind of in your genes at a very early on, that you were also picking up on very good sales skills as well too, sounds like.
Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but I think it really helped me. Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. So what did you, is that what you basically did even out of college? Was that your first, when you came out of college, were you already really focused on creating your own company, or did you do a series of other jobs first before you started to hit your stride and having your own company?
Yeah, I definitely went that 9-to-5 corporate life route. At that time, I was still struggling to find my identity and my voice, because the only thing I knew was figure skating. And when all of that was just taken away, I spent years just trying to find where I belong. And, my parents never directly told me this, but I can just tell that they wanted me to have like a stable life, make sure I get a 401k, all of those things that, probably my parents' generation thought that was a success. So even if I didn't necessarily want to do it, getting a college education, getting a really good job after college was something that was just embedded in my mind. So my first job was actually in fashion. I was a graphic designer working underneath the creative director. And that presented itself really great opportunities because I was able to climb pretty quickly within, that corporate structure. Definitely got burnt out in the fashion world and told myself, maybe I shouldn't even be in this industry. And so I moved out of that and started working for Anschutz Entertainment Group, which is AEG. So they're like one of the largest like music conglomerates. And they also dabble with real estate, I guess, for all the music venues and sporting events and stuff like that. So working in their creative department.
Right. What did you learn during your 9-to-5 corporate stint that has benefited you as you took a step into the world of entrepreneurship?
That's a great question. Something that I've learned, that I don't want to ever create a space that feels very political with hierarchies.
Yeah.
But I did learn a lot, even just simple things of writing very professional emails and doing it really quickly, meeting those really fast turnaround deadlines, thinking on your feet. But I think most importantly, networking within those industries, because a lot of those folks that I met during that time are people that really have supported me along my journey.
Yeah. I would think so, that successful entrepreneurs, a lot of it has to come with the fact of not just what they've learned, but also who they've gotten to know well and connected with through that journey, right? Because just by definition, if you're going to go into entrepreneurship, you need to have a network that you're going to basically work with either internally or externally. Right?
Exactly.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about 2020, shall we? Because it seems like a lot of stuff converged, not just everybody, but specifically for you, from when I'm watching here. A lot of things are converging around this time, almost as if it was, in a way, preordained. So tell me a bit about, from a internal political activist point of view, what ignited you, what connected with you, what really spoke to you that happened in 2020?
Yeah. So let me just backtrack a little bit because, when I started Uprisers, I really wanted to highlight stories of folks and just creators who are, it's underrepresented, right? I really wanted to create a platform so that we are able to share these authentic, impactful stories. And the name Uprisers came about because starting in 2016, I felt like this shift was happening, and that the traditional way to do things wasn't going to work anymore. And there needed to be like radical transformations, radical shift. I didn't really know to what extent or what that meant, but that's just how I felt. And so my two other ventures that I started a couple years ago actually stemmed from the name Uprisers. So when I started up Uprisers, it was being able to talk about this in a radical way, but also in a sophisticated, not messy way. You know, I wanted to be able to do it in a very authentic way. And so 2019 was a really great example of us collaborating with a activist and content creator, Asia Jackson. And 3 years ago, she started a movement called about colorism called Maganda Morenix. She's half Black, half Filipino, and she always struggled and was bullied growing up because of the color of her skin, and she was not proud of it. And so Maganda Morenix is a global movement. So many people know about this, and every year in October, they celebrate Maganda Morenix, and they want to collaborate with Uprisers as her first merchandise release to talk about this movement. So that was a really great introduction to like the types of stories and movements we want to stand behind. Then 2020 hit, and we had a lot of great things that were in the works. And when it all came crashing down, it was this feeling of, I was scared inside because I didn't know what was going on. I was like, is this the end of Uprisers? Are we going to be able to continue? And, you know, we had a very small team at that time. And so I see them as family. I'm like, what am I going to do about them too? You know, they were always there for me since day one when I started my entrepreneur journey. It's like, I'm not just going to be like, okay, bye, see you later. we're in this pandemic now. And we had a meeting before lockdown being like, how can we're community first. We want to speak for the people, right, and we want to be able to listen to and respond to them. What's going on in our immediate local community that we can somehow like activate and help out? And I was just expressing this need of like, we need to not stay silent this time because our fellow brothers and sisters are dealing with racism and dealing with xenophobia, and who's going to stand up for them, you know? And so we coined this term, hate is a virus, which essentially started as a food crawl, a weekly food crawl to go and support local small restaurants. We helped, and 2 days later, it went into lockdown. So then we were like, okay, we have to pivot again, but that's okay because we know how to do it. And I ended up connecting with Tammy Cho and Brian Pham, and the three of us got together to really create more of like this digital movement that you see now. So hate is a virus became a very core aspect, not only in combating racism and xenophobia, but really addressing our AAPI identity as well, and how we can address certain issues that come up in our society and even stand in solidarity with other minority communities.
What exactly would you say, or how would you describe in its simplest terms the message that hate is a virus represents and wants to convey to the community?
Wait, what's the one message?
That the hate is a virus it wants to convey. Like, what is it? What is the mission and the message that it's conveying?
Yeah, so hate is a virus started off in response to everything that was going on during COVID-19. And it was to combat racism and xenophobia towards our Asian American community because of the pandemic. Now that we're, of course, we're still dealing with everything. There's a ton of hate crimes still occurring. But what does hate as a virus? What is our overall mission that we want to do, carrying moving forward, even
Mhm.
past the pandemic.
Mhm.
And Tammy Cho is such an amazing leader, and she's really spearheading this as our CEO for this movement.
Mhm.
We are going to continue to combat racism and just hate, but also addressing and educating our youth AAPIs with more like educational content, really letting them understand the American identity and the identities that have come forth and the reasons why we are dealing with these things today. And hopefully that can activate and mobilize our communities.
Okay, I love that. It's a really good, powerful, and strong mission behind that. Um, now, has any of that message or that mission carried over into how, or the stories that Uprisers shares in its product line now?
Yeah, I think it all the DNA of Uprisers is to tell the authentic stories of activists, trendsetters. I like to call them people. I like to call them warriors of change.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so a lot of what Hate is the Virus is doing as an organization is really also an arm of what Uprisers is passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Hate is a Virus is focused on combating hate
Mm-hmm.
and addressing those things. Uprisers is really, at least the way I see it, is a platform to address certain issues that we want to bring to the forefront. Whether it's about colorism, whether it is about Black Lives Matter and how we can stand in solidarity with them, about climate change,
Mm-hmm.
uh, activating our community to go out and vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different things that we can be tackling, but I also don't want us to feel like we can change the world. It really takes a village to do something like that, and I just want to be able to slowly ramp up so that we can handle and do what we do best with the things that we really care about.
Okay, fantastic. Now, on top of that, also, um, some exciting things are happening for Uprisers right now too, especially coming in the early parts of 2021.
Yes. So with all that said, I think it's awesome because the community has been really responsive to it. They understand the mission behind Uprisers. We're more than just clothing, you
Right.
know, um, and and being recognized on a larger national scale really says something as well. And so,
Mm-hmm.
starting in 2021, in February, 2/11 to be exact,
Nice.
uh, Uprisers uh, will be the first Asian American female brand that will be onboarded with PacSun.
Wow, that is huge, and congratulations on that. I can't think of a better way to rise up from the ashes of everything that we've been going through in 2020 and to come back in 2021 with what we really all need is a nice, strong, fresh start and really putting ourselves out there this time. Um, we're coming toward the end of our time here, but I really want to ask you one more question is, based on a lot of the lessons you've learned and the wisdom you've acquired over this journey of yours, what are some pieces of advice, or what is a one piece of advice or one challenge you would want to give to our audience that they can take away from our time together here?
Yeah, if there's something that you're passionate about, interested and whatnot, like also think about how we can be of service to our community too. And if there's just one little thing that we can do every single day and almost embed it within our lifestyle, I think that it could make really great impact for the future.
I love it. That's such a powerful message. And you're an example to the community, and you have such a great network. And I look forward to seeing some of your products online and also in stores. I plan on buying them and wearing them with pride. So thank you so much for giving us that voice, and also have fun having fun doing it as well too. So I think that's all the time we have. But I hope we can have you on our live stage sometime in 2022 and get to meet you in person and give you a big hug and thank you for all the wonderful work you do in the community. Thank you so much, Michelle. You are such an
Thank
inspiration.
you. I'll give you a virtual hug now.
Virtual hug.
Yay.
Wonderful. You're beautiful. And thank you for always just being such a beacon and a warrior for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You take care. I'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Okay, bye.
Bye.